So once we've got all of our information entered that we need for the order, the next step is to actually apply that to the proposal. If for some reason we've gone through all of this work and now all I want to do is reset this screen, maybe I've made a mistake, I can reset the entire order. I could determine that this was all for naught, and I actually want to cancel this and just return to the proposal screen. And then I can add depending. What add depending is going to do is it's going to create the line items in the bottom of the screen, but it is not going to actually save them yet. What this is for is if I'm trying to enter multiple different ad types, maybe I'm trying to enter maybe even the same ad type and maybe a different ad type into the same issue. If I was lucky enough to sell them 2 ads in one issue, I could now go back up here and continue to enter orders, but none of this has actually been placed on the proposal yet. In fact, here you can actually see this is even called orders pending save. So I've now entered these 3 orders. I could go back up and select some new orders to add to the publication before I actually save these orders. It is important to know that these orders are not saved yet. So if for some reason you leave this screen now, these orders will go away. Okay? I did want to show you, you may see if for some reason you had never gone into this advertiser before, maybe it's a new advertiser, that when you actually go into a new advertiser for this publication, I will select the publication that anyways. What would happen is if you'd never gone into this publication for this advertiser, you would get a pop-up screen that says, there's no rep assigned to this publication. What rep do you want to assign to it? At which point you can assign yourself to it and tell it what percentage of the commission you get. So it's a really simple drop pop-up, but I wanted to let you know that if you hit that pop-up, you just need to fill it out and go on. Typically it pops up when I select a different publication like this, but I think I already went into this earlier today, so I apologize for that. Now that we've actually got these line items created, the first thing I want to do is save them. And after this long process, what we've done is create these 3 line items. Now, again, I went through this very long process to create these orders, but it is actually very fast. I talk through every field, but actually creating orders can be very quick, and it is not that difficult. So we'll go through it just one time real quick to show you how fast it actually can be, because I know these things feel like they take forever. We'll select a couple issues. Run a book. In this case, it says I do have to. This is the pop-up I was talking about. These things are mandatory, and I forgot to fill them out, so it is going to make me fill them out. PIB category and material status. So now I've created that order, save the order. So the first time I went through it, we spent 30 minutes talking about putting in an order, but as you can see, it really took me less than a minute to put in an order. So it can actually be a very quick process depending on what information you need to enter on an order. Again, it's one of those things that's as complicated or as simple as you like in the system for the most part. So once we've got some orders created, there's actually some things we can do to them. These tabs across the top, we're going to see some options. The most important one is billing schedule. If I don't do anything with the billing schedule, what this is going to assume is that on these months, when these issues come up, this advertiser will be charged for the net amount. So when the issue is billed, they'll get charged for that amount which is in the issue. If for some reason I'm actually creating this as a package deal now, and I've told them I'm going to create a custom billing schedule, I can do that. So there's two ways to create a custom billing schedule. The first one is this top method. And the top method is a free form billing schedule. So I can create this any way I would like. In my new billing date, I can simply select my calendar, tell it which date I would like to bill on. I can give it a billing comment. Oops. And then I can determine whether I want to split the bill into a percentage or whether I want to determine the amount. If I'm doing it this way, where I'm making it up myself, it is important that I get the math correct. So for instance, if I say the first bill is going to be for $10,000, you're going to see down here we now have an unallocated amount. I have to continue to add payments to this until my unallocated amount is 0. Now, because I've done this for,
I have a question. Who has rights to do this for billing schedule?
Hold on. This is
Yeah.
Sharon. I don't even think we tested this part, Zach, did we? I mean, I haven't seen this. Are you there, Zach?
Sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth. What are we looking at right now?
Are you having lunch?
No, I've got a couple issues going on back here.
It's this whole billing schedule thing. I mean, I don't think is Alan in the room? Did you do anything with this, Alan?
Yeah, we haven't used that at all, and I'm thinking if you were talking about the print, they really can't kind of mess with this at all.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a billing schedule for print lineup. I had no idea.
In the past, really you had to create a multimedia contract to do any kind of unique billing schedule. So one of the features that's new in Elan Web is that if your security allows you, you can actually create unique billing schedules in the proposal stage and pass them off to accounting. So rather than having to create a multimedia contract on the back end to create these kind of multiple billing schedules, you could actually create them straight from the proposal. So if it's a simple schedule, where we're just involving print, but I want to bill them in three, as I'm doing here, a third, the sales rep could actually set that up now and pass that off to you.
I think we need to discuss this further, Zach, don't you?
Sure.
Well, we can still go over
Is there anybody
the
on from
feature.
accounting?
We can still go over the feature. That's not going to hurt anything.
Right.
Because I don't even know how.
But you're losing us. I'm being really honest.
Okay.
If it's not something that we're going to use, right now or in the next 90 days, it's like we're just going to.
Okay. Well, we can skip this.
Yeah, and we can skip it. I'll tell you sometimes when I talk about this, the way people react is differently. There's kind of the two ways of we're not going to use this, and the other one, some people on the sales side really like this because they can make sure that they get it correct going in. But we do not have to go over it. I will just kind of breeze over it. You can see we've kind of started on this
Alan,
idea of...
Is this something you think that might be beneficial in any way?
Well, I'd rather go over it separately, don't you think, Ellen? Not here in the group.
Well, and I think we'd have to get accounting in and test it all the way through so that they would understand how that's showing up so we don't get into, problems closing the month.
Okay, we'll take a closer look at that on our own.
And Zach, for setup on this, if you guys have been using multimedia already, the good news is that for the accounting side, the account should already be set up correctly for this to work, because you do need to tie some things like deferred accounts to make this work. If you've been using multimedia, that's already set up. But if you haven't, we can talk about that as we go forward. Okay?
All right, thanks, Brandon.
Yep, no problem. So we're going to breeze over this. You can see we can create these billing schedules by weird dates, or we can also auto-generate them. And this is kind of where I would say, hey, start it here, do it this many times, do it by month, and it would create a schedule for me. Okay? So there's a hard way, really easy way, and that's kind of how that goes about. The next tab we're going to see here is an email history. And what this relates to is this button we actually see up here, which is that we can email this proposal to a client. If I've emailed this proposal to a client, it's going to start creating an email history. So I may email this proposal, they don't sign it, we make a change, and then I email it again. You would then see that I've emailed this multiple times to the client and the different editions or who it was created by and when it was sent. So it's actually keeping track of how often or how many times we've used this button. Okay? Internal notes. These are going to be the internal notes we actually applied to the order earlier. Have there been revisions made to this order? You can see every time I've made a change to this, it's actually recorded that. So it's showing that I added a print line for this publication, I subtracted or added print lines, and all this is helping you do is to see how the proposal evolved over time, which may be useful, it may not be. And again, we've got the idea of attaching documents to this proposal. If, Zach, a unique way we see, or not a unique way, a really cool way we see people using this, if you're able to make this happen, is if you're storing your signed contracts somewhere or they're being e-signed, you can actually store then the signed contract to the proposal before you save it. So I will mention that to you guys. But really, this is the most useful thing you're going to see. It's the line items tab. We can see each individual order that is created. We could go back and edit these orders. We could also remove these orders.
Hey, does anybody think that they would really be using, this is a question for the sales rep, does anyone think they really want to use that documents area?
You mean in terms of setting up some type of web-based protocol?
Well, they have a functional use for it. We would have to set something up on our end so they'd have web access to, files that they would need there. But Brandon, what did you say that's meant to tie in for?
So there's a couple places in the system it's actually stored in. On the CRM, we find people use it to store all kinds of things, editorials, calendars, things that clients have sent over to them. In this particular place in the system, what I see people using this for the most is actually storing a signed contract. So maybe we do have to turn in the paper contract as well, but if this is a digital contract and it's been e-signed, I could actually now store the link to that signed contract on the proposal, and then when I approve it in the system, it would always be tied together. So if we ever needed to go back and look at it and see, did we get a signed contract in, it would always be tied back to this proposal. So in this particular place, that's what I see this being used for the most.
Where do you guys save proposals now? I mean, do you put them in your file cabinet and print it up? Do you attach it in Outlook? Do you save it as a Word document in your shared drive or something?
I keep mine in Outlook, and then I save them on the H drive under my folders.
I send mine.
And I always send them to Sherry.
I do the same thing. Mine are in the folders in Outlook, and I send them to Ellen.
Does it make sense if you're sending them to Ellen and everybody? Is there kind of like a folder that Ellen and Sherry can drag and drop them into? Or do they have to do it from the inside inside Elan? Because they're doing it for inside Elan, I guess it's got to be done by the sales rep, right?
This is just, I see from my point of view, I see opportunities as it's just another step that is additional work that, we're not going to send those types of proposals to our customers. We have our formatted proposals that we use already. And you can talk to someone like Renee, who's a heavy user, who effectively uses notes and to-dos. It just seems like it's just one more step of work that's not going to really help us.
Does it make any sense at this point? I remember the last time we talked about like what best practices were, to just kind of, this is a more valuable system if everybody's using it in a similar way, to just kind of identify, to Laurel's point, what are like the things that make sense for us to use and what are the things that really don't make sense for us to use?
Well, I mean, going back to last week, I love the idea is, if we're matching up email addresses and we don't have to maintain all these separate folders, that those proposals are automatically going into the Elan notes, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah, good point.
And we all use a set of documents in our selling process, whether it's the media kit or the rate card or a standard proposal. So I think, standardizing, getting those standard documents in a library for Salon Group, for Wood Group would be just a great start. I mean, the documents we always use.
In having the documents you always use available through Elan?
Yeah, yep. To email to our clients and connect and attach to the history of what we've sent them, and that would be helpful to me. I don't have to keep a record of, I'm writing notes, sent him the media kit, sent him a Red Book promo,
I think that the opportunities is something that is supposed to supersede the notes and everything, because I don't think everybody has access to our notes or whatever. I mean, they want to have much more easy access just to the opportunities.
And the good news with opportunities, just to let you guys know, the good news with opportunities is it's not one of those things where it's turned on or turned off for you guys. If you think through this and there's a useful time where people should be using an opportunity, but the rest of the time it seems like it might be an extra step, you can pick and choose when you use them. Now, from a business decision, obviously that's kind of up to you guys, but as far as the system's concerned, it is optional.
Yes, opportunities are optional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there would be great tools to manage what's going on in our sales pipeline, but I mean, if I can't convert an online order, why would I create an opportunity for it?
Good point.
And that's a question for you guys. I know the system is able to do that from a technology standpoint. Now, I know from a business decision right now, you guys don't actually enter the digital orders in the proposals. So from a technology standpoint, the system does do that.
And Renee, to your point about having your documents, if everything, if we were sending an email and we were attaching the Red Book promo, those are in our sales folder. So we attach it to the email, and then that email is automatically going into the account record. So we would know that Red Book promo went with the email.
Right, which I think is awesome.
The documents don't have to be in Elan. They can be in our sales folder.
for this particularly, it sounds like this is more meant for, because this is linking straight to this proposal. So it's what documents would you want on a proposal? And in this case, you would, I guess it would be the signed IO.
Right.
Right?
Right. Correct. And what they're talking to or alluding to is a lot of what we talked about last time, where the documents, attaching the documents to the customer record, is different than this attached documents, where, like you said, it's typically used for attached or signed IOs.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it would pull it if once we get email working, it will be pulled from your email and it'll turn it into a note. Correct, Brandon?
Yes, it would turn it into a note, but again, you wouldn't be able to view the attachment in the system. If you remember, it's not going to pull that attachment. It's just right.
It shows that there's an attachment there, but you cannot link back to it from a line. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
In order to link back to it, you'd actually have to store it somewhere again in the cloud and then put the link into the system.
Yes, yes. So would you guys be interested in having the ability to put it on the cloud and have it available attached to the order directly there, or are you happy with how you're doing it now, keeping it in your email and sending it to your ad manager? Yay, nay?
Why not?
We got one vote for use.
Yes.
Yeah, does everybody think it will be helpful? I want everyone to think it's helpful and will use it, because I don't want to waste my time setting it up and then no one uses it. So is that a yes consensus? I'll just let you all email me. Send me an email.
There you go.
I'm not sure anyone knows the question. I think maybe they're not sure what the question is, Zach.
Okay, the question is, in the area that Brandon's showing us right now, would you find it helpful, useful, to be able to attach your assigned insertion order to that proposal? Or are you fine with keeping it in your email and sending a copy straight to your ad manager?
I think it would be a great tool. It's a good way to have another checkpoint of, being in receipt of a signed order.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then anyone else could access it. So if someone else on your team has to access it, or you need it, I would imagine it's a good bookkeeping.
Exactly. I don't think it matters who puts it onto that, whether it's the sales rep or the admin, as long as somebody puts it on there and it's able to be referenced.
Yeah,
and that's where we see it being used.
Hey, Zach, how would you be doing this? Would you be going and looking on the hard drive or going in Outlook?
You mean how am I going to set this up?
Yeah, and I'm curious because when we talked a week ago, it was mentioned that there was going to be some kind of consolidation between Elan and Outlook in about a month.
Yeah.
And if, in fact, the two are talking to each other, and it sounds like most people are saving these documents in Outlook, does that make it easier?
No, we would have to have these on the documents would have to be uploaded to a server in some way, and then you would get a link from that, and then you would put the link in here, and that will link back to that file location on the server.
Okay, so then it's basically another step as well.
Well,
isn't there a way to just attach a document to the card in Elan rather than having to put it on a separate server? And let's say that you send from this order that we're looking at right now, you export it to Word, you save it as a PDF, somebody signs it, they send it back to you. Can't you just attach it to this card rather than having to create another server interface?
We don't actually allow you right now to upload any documents into Elan. There are some security issues with allowing file types into a database that's PCI compliant and where we're storing a vast amount of your data. So allowing uploads into it right now, we don't have a secure way of allowing you to do that. Now, we're researching one right now, but Currently, we don't actually allow you to upload directly into the system where your data is stored.
And that's because you're afraid of importing viruses and things like that, right?
That's correct.
So what you might be able to do is you might be able to have kind of an embargoed section of the site that it could be uploaded to. And is that what you're working on?
Right. One of the solutions we're exploring is actually, it would appear like you were uploading the document into the site, but in actuality, we would be uploading it to a cloud environment and sending the link back to the system. But to your users, it would just look like they were uploading it directly into a log. So we're looking at a workaround like that. Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to be doing something like that, and I'm not sure exactly what the next generation is, which is going to have the closer integration between Outlook and Elan, is there anything that you can share about that? Any functionality that might be valuable today or might help expedite what we're trying to do?
No, and that's one of those things. If this was something that was on the development schedule where I could kind of tell you guys it's coming, I would. Right now it's really in that fact-finding, how do we make this happen for you guys? So it's really one of those things, if you find useful,
I wasn't asking about that. I was asking, Zach, you said that there's going to be a new interface between Elan and Outlook that's going to come in about a month. Do you remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, what that is.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. So currently, there's an integration with Outlook and Elan. Unfortunately, your version of Outlook is newer, and we haven't completed that integration yet. So as soon as they complete that added integration in about a month, the integration between Outlook and Elan, what that does is syncs your emails back and forth when it matches the email address in the system and in your Outlook account. Now, what Zach's alluding to is the thing that it still won't do is, even though it's syncing your email back, let's say that email has an attachment with it, when it syncs your email back, it's actually creating a copy of that email in the system and stripping out the attachment.
Okay.
So even when the integration's set up, you would still not be storing those attachments inside of Elan because we strip them out as you come through the door. And then
But it
you
could copy
there
them
is an
to a
attachment.
secure environment when you had this integration, right? You could have it in.
So that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things we have to explore. Yeah.
So that would automate
as we
this
get
whole
that to work.
Because if everybody's saving it in Outlook, then this could be done pretty much automatically without anyone having to take any extra steps in.
But the integration to Outlook that's coming in the next 30 days or so is not that. It's just the email sync and strip. The thing that we're discussing is a kind of idea that some people have had that we have not actually put into production yet.
Okay, but when the sync and strip comes, if you did a sync and then instead of just stripping, you diverted certain email addresses, attachments to a certain holding location, which could then be available via the cloud and Elan. Does that make any sense?
That's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like we were saying, this would kind of be an extra step. You would have to upload this to a cloud environment, which would then give you a link, and then you could put that link here in this attached document area. So if you guys are interested in having us do that for you and making that available to you, please shoot me an email, let me know, and we can or cannot do it,
How many people actually get signed orders anyway?
I still get quite a few, but I mean, if I can hold on to them and send them to Ellen, then I know that they're referenced. Everybody who needs to see them is going to see them. I don't know if I need to put it in Elan.
I maybe get 20%. The rest of them are email confirmations or verbal.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're trying to get away
mine are
from
about
verbal.
50.
All right, so it kind of sounds like this wouldn't be too useful at the time. I mean, since we already got, you guys already got a process in place, and you can access the signed ones whenever you need, pretty much. So you think we could do without this, then?
Yeah, probably.
I don't think it's necessary, but
I think there's more important things we need you to spend your time on.
Yeah. Okay. All right, sounds good.
Okay.
We'll move forward then.
Well, so the next thing we're going to talk about are these buttons off to the side, and then we'll be ready for a break for you guys. I know listening to me is amazing, but we'll give you guys a little bit of break from it. So with these buttons, we're going to start from the bottom and move our way up. The first button is close. What that's going to do is it's going to close this proposal without saving it, and all the work I've just done could go away. It's likely that you're not going to use that button a lot. That's why we've put it at the bottom. The next button you're going to see is email this proposal. And we're going to get an error right now because it says there are no email templates available.
Because I have not gotten to that yet.
So what this is there in the CRM we talked about the ability to send out an email template that's kind of a prospecting template, or here's something I send often. What this email is here is your proposal. And it is actually an HTML email that would include your proposal details as well as, you know, anything you'd want, pictures, information, things like that. These are actually built in HTML. If for some reason you're awesome at editing HTML, you could download them and then edit it. More likely you're just going to want to click preview and see what it looks like before you send it to them. And then you can also send it to them. You could send it to multiple people at one time by checking these boxes. We could also simply list the people we want to send it to. And we could decide we actually want to BCC those people on the email so that the people at the top don't see it. We could CC someone, create our own subject, and even add a comment to the email if we didn't feel like what was in the email preview correctly accounted for what we were sending them. So you could add your own comment to the email that's existing. What that's going to do is when you send that off, it's going to send them this beautiful HTML email, and it's going to record the email history in this field we talked about. Okay? The next button is we can export this to Word. The first thing it's going to want to know is what template do we want to use. So you guys have different brands and different publications. The Wood Group uses different proposals than the Salon Group, so you'd want to come down here and select your proposal type and download. You can see it downloaded it straight to my desktop. Now I will open this, but I warn you, I don't actually have Word on my computer, so this isn't going to look like yours looks. It opened it in WordPad, so it kind of beat it up. But yours would open in Word and look just like it's been designed. It does download into Word, so you can make edits to it on your local machine. Just remember that those edits are not stored back into the system. And then as I heard earlier, we do recommend not sending Word documents to your clients because then they could edit them. We do recommend saving that as a PDF and emailing it off to your client.
I have a question with the template. Like, for instance, you just pulled up a salon proposal template and made a note that we can update on our own, you know, on our own desktop, so we can make edits and then save it, but it wouldn't save the original. Is there any way that, I mean, maybe this is a question for Zach and maybe it should be tabled, but is there any way to customize a proposal per rep? So, you know, if you were to make changes in your own language, you know, that you don't have to make that every single time. Like how you want them to respond back, if it's fax reply, et cetera.
So you want to be able to save a template.
That's personalized to me, yes.
Yeah.
I know you can make changes, but then I have to make changes every time I do my template. You know, every time I access it. I mean, I think we would be more likely to use it if it was sort of customized. So we've all said that before. We don't really like the orientation of the proposal template.
So from a system perspective, yes, you could store as many templates in that drop-down as you wanted.
Okay.
Now, this could get messy depending on how many reps you guys actually have.
Okay.
But, yeah, absolutely. The system will allow you to store as many templates as you like. So if you guys talk about this later and decide that each person in the salon group needs a customized template, when you came into this drop-down, you would just select, salon proposal dash your name or something, whatever name.
Yeah.
You
well, we have a small team, so maybe the 3 of us, 4 of us would just come up with one template that works for us.
How does the template get added here? Does it go through Sherry? Does she add it, or does it go through Zach?
This is Ellen, but Zach sets those up.
Right.
Sounds like we might have lost Zach. I know he's been working on an issue. So, but yes, what you're asking for can be done by the system. Again, it's depending on what you guys decide and how populated you want that drop down to be.
Okay.
Okay. The next button we see here is cancel this proposal, just like what it sounds like. If I choose to cancel this proposal, we're going to get 2 options. Do I want to delete these orders that are attached to this proposal, or do I just want to delete this proposal but leave the orders out there? Maybe I've decided that this needs to be split into different proposals, and I actually want to delete this proposal but leave the orders out there, and then I'm going to create a new proposal and attach those orders back. That's where I see remove orders being used the most. The majority of the time, if you're deleting a proposal, it's likely, though, you're just deleting all of the orders as well. Okay? If I approve this proposal, it's going to ask me for an approval date and who approved it. When I approve this proposal, it does push it to that next step we talked about, where this order is now a reserved order. It doesn't mean it's going in the book necessarily, but it does mean it's been passed off to the next step of whatever your business practice is, of now turning in that contract or turning in that verbal approval, turning in that email approval, and then someone goes in and says, yes, these are all approved orders, and they get moved into a running status. Once you've approved this proposal, you can no longer edit it. There are people at the next level that could come back and edit these proposals, but we have assumed that if you've approved this proposal, that you've approved it in its current form. Okay? If I'm not sure I'm ready to be done with this yet, I could just save this proposal and come back to it later. I am going to actually cancel this. I don't want to save these into your system. You can see it said it actually redirected me to what it calls a read-only version of this proposal. So I did tell you nothing actually gets deleted in the system. It just all goes into a bucket that's hidden called deleted status. And that's what we're showing here, is even though I've deleted this order, it could still be pulled back up at some point in time and be viewed if someone found that interesting. Okay? What I want to do now is go back to the CRM home screen, and we'll finish up here. You can see we went over this a lot in our CRM training, but I now wanted to show you, now that you've got some opportunities in here and some proposals, you can see how this, if you're using opportunities and proposals, how this kind of gives you a snapshot of what's going on in your life. Here's my alerts. Here's what I've got to do today. Here's the customers I've been talking to, and here's the financial information I've got out right now. Here's my opportunities. Here are my proposals. Likely these are things I want to be calling on so that I can actually turn them into orders. So we finished about 10 minutes early. I know we've talked a lot, but do you guys have any questions about how this flows or what you might use proposals for versus opportunities? I know earlier we kind of heard opportunities sound like an extra step, and I will tell you that A lot of the time I hear that, and we also used to feel very strongly that opportunities weren't necessary in the system. What we did find is that there are a lot of clients who do large sales or sales that take a long time to close and change a lot over time. If you don't find you're doing that, if most of your sales are, here's a 3-run issue, it comes in, it becomes a proposal, it goes to an order, then, opportunities is an optional step. So again, from the systems point of view, we never want to hinder your process. If you have business rules that require you to use that, that's different, but we will allow you to skip anything that seems like it's going to slow down your sales process or hinder you. Okay? Any questions about what we've gone over so far? Or at least any questions for me? You guys may have some things you want to talk to Zach about later. Okay. Well, what we're going to do when we come back is we are going to talk about the opportunities drop-down, looking up proposals. We're going to go back into the ad module and talk about brands and advertiser agency maintenance, something we kind of skipped last time. And then we'll go over some reporting and into Informer.
Okay, what time are we coming back?
I believe 1:30.
So
is what we have scheduled.
It's basically 55 minutes from now.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.